If you ask most people about the biggest risk to their retirement, they'll say market crash or running out of money. They're wrong. For Canadians who actually saved well, the ones with the $500,000 RRSPs, the 30-year track record, the biggest threat is a line on your tax return that starts clawing back nearly $9,000 a year. And it's triggered by doing exactly what you were told to do. That $9,000 is old age security. It tops out at about $743 a month, right now for someone 65 to 74, close to $8,900 a year. Hit 75 and it climbs to $817 a month, nearly $9,800 for a couple. That's almost $20,000 between them, indexed to inflation, guaranteed for life. And it can vanish without you noticing until the checks are already smaller. What stings is the timing. This hits at exactly the moment you're most vulnerable. The first few years of retirement are fragile. No paycheck, no routine, just you and a nest egg and a decision you can't take back. Watching a benefit you thought was yours get clawed back feels like punishment. But it's not punishment. It's math. And math lets you move the pieces. The formula itself is dead simple. For every dollar your net income crosses above the threshold, the government takes back 15 cents of your OAS. Keep climbing past that line and the whole benefit disappears, eventually. For the 2025 tax year, which is what affects your payments starting this July, the threshold sits at $93,454. It's projected to hit $95,323 for 2026 income. I'll put numbers on it. Service Canada's own example. Someone with $98,000 of net income is $7,003 above the threshold. Multiply that by 15%, and you get $1,050. That's what disappears from your OAS. Works out to about $87 a month. Gone. That 15% doesn't travel alone. It rides on top of whatever tax bracket you're already in. If your marginal rate lands around 30%, which is where plenty of retirees sit in Ontario or BC, every dollar you earn inside the clawback zone costs you 45 cents total. At the high end of that band, it can pass 50% in several provinces. A dollar of RIF income in the wrong year doesn't just cost you 30 cents of income tax. It costs you another 15 cents of OAS you'll never get back. Now, the threshold and the rate are the same whether you're 66 or 86, whether your OAS is partial or full. What changes is how much income you report and where it comes from. Net income, by the way, means line 23400 on your return. That's everything: CPP payments, RIF withdrawals, pension income, part-time work, rental income, dividends. If it's taxable, it's in there. One more mechanical detail before the surprises. Once your income climbs high enough that the calculated repayment equals your total OAS, the clawback stops. Nothing left to take. For someone 65 to 74, that full elimination point lands around $148,000 to $155,000, depending on the year. For 75 and over, closer to $155,000 to $161,000. Past that, you're not losing OAS anymore because it's already gone. But the band from $93,000 up to about $150,000, that's where the damage happens. And a lot of the income pushing people into it isn't even money they spent. The numbers I just walked through assume you see the income coming. But 3 things catch retirees off guard every single year. 2, you can plan around if you know about them. The third one is built into the tax code, and you can't undo it. You can only sidestep it if you act early enough. First, the RIFF. You spent 30 years filling your RRSP, deferred the tax, watched it compound, felt smart about it, and you were right to feel that way. But the government's been patient with your RRSP, and the collection date is the year you turn 71. That's when it converts to a RRIF, and at 72, the mandatory withdrawals start. 5.4% of whatever's in there every year, whether you need the money or not. Take someone with a $500,000 RRSP. At 72, that's $27,000 of income they never asked for. And the percentage climbs. 6.8% at 80, almost 12% by 90. You can't turn it off, defer it, or avoid it. You just take the money and pay the tax. If that $27,000 is the margin between staying under the threshold and blowing right through it, you just traded $4,000 of OAS for money you didn't need. Second, the dividend gross-up. Canadian dividend stocks look tax efficient, and for the actual tax bill they often are. But for OAS, they're a trap. Eligible dividends get grossed up by 38% before they hit your net income. $50,000 of actual dividend income reports as $69,000 on the line that matters. That extra $19,000 isn't cash you received. It's phantom income the tax code creates to account for corporate taxes already paid. But for OAS purposes, it's real. It counts. And unlike the RIF, you can't gradually withdraw your way out. Once you're holding those dividend stocks in a non-registered account, that gross-up hits every year, forever. Third, there's the timing lag. The clawback on your payments this July through next June runs off last year's income. A one-time event, selling the cottage a big RRSP withdrawal, shrinks your OAS checks for 12 months afterward, even if this year's income drops way down. You eventually get the money back at tax time. But in the meantime, small checks. And retirement cash flow doesn't care about next year's refund. It's a this-month problem. So here's the pattern. All three traps, the RIF, the dividend gross-up, the timing lag, they all hit the same number. Your net income, the RIF forces it up. The dividend gross-up inflates it. The timing lag makes a one-time spike feel permanent. But the part that actually matters is this. Every single one is controllable if you act before 65, not after. Before, let me walk you through the 5 levers you have, in order of impact. The first and most powerful lever is the RRSP meltdown. The idea is simple. Between when you stop working and OAS begins at 65, your taxable income is low, no salary, no CPP yet, just whatever you pull from savings. That window is gold. A couple retiring at 60 with a $500,000 RRSP could draw $45,000 a year for those 5 years. They pay tax on it, sure, but at a much lower rate than they will at 72 when CPP, OAS, and the RIF all pile on at once. By 65, the RRSP is closer to $275,000, which means a RRIF minimum at 72 of about $14,850 instead of $27,000. That $12,000 difference, that's the margin between keeping all your OAS and watching half of it disappear. Second lever, your TFSA. This one is clean. TFSA withdrawals don't count as income for the clawback period. So in years where your RIF or pension income is bumping up against the threshold, spend from the TFSA instead. Let the RIF sit. That dollar out of the TFSA costs you $0 in clawback. The catch, you need a TFSA with money in it. If every dollar you ever saved went into the RRSP, this lever is limited. Third, defer OAS to 70. Every month you delay past 65 adds 0.6% to the payment. Works out to 36% more by age 70. So the $743 a month becomes $1,010. That's an extra $3,200 a year for life. But the smarter play isn't just the bigger check. It's that if you're drawing down your RRSP between 65 and 70, you avoid the clawback entirely during those years and lock in a permanently higher benefit starting at 70. 2 wins, 1 decision. Fourth, income splitting with your spouse. Up to half of eligible pension income can be shifted to the lower income spouse. RIF withdrawals count after 65. Same for most employer pensions. The OAS clawback is per person, not per household. If one spouse has $110,000 and the other has $40,000, splitting $35,000 of pension income moves the first spouse down to about $92,000, below the threshold, and the second up to $58,000, still below the threshold. Both now keep full OAS. This isn't some secret loophole, it's built right into the tax code. But a surprising number of couples never use it. Fifth, time your big events. You're selling the cottage, a business, or a large stock position. That capital gain is going to land on your return and hit your OAS. Do it before 65 if you can. If not, spread it across 2 or 3 tax years. If it's unavoidable in a single year, know that the cash flow hit is temporary. The clawback gets reconciled when income drops. Plan for those leaner months. Here's what all this comes down to. The magic window is between 60 and 65, after you stop working, before OAS begins. That's when you have maximum control. You can melt down the RRSP at low tax rates. You can fill the TFSA. You can decide whether deferring OAS or CPP makes sense for your situation. Once you hit 65, OAS starts, unless you defer. At 71, the RIRF forces income out whether you like it or not. Past 72, the minimum withdrawal percentage climbs every year. The system locks in, and your room to maneuver shrinks to almost nothing. The people who get this right aren't the ones with the biggest portfolios. They're the ones who thought about the order of withdrawals. What comes out of which account? In which year? That's it. That's the whole game. You didn't work for 30 years and live below your means so the government could take back your OAS through bad timing. These are the rules. Play them in the right order. If you want to know how CPP timing fits into this picture, because the two decisions are connected, that's what I break down in the next video.